Welcome back to the College Football UK podcast brought to you by the AAW Network. As always, I am your host, Fletch, and this week I am joined by returning star Nick. How are you, sir?
I'm all good. Very busy away from the pod, but I am all good.
Also, returning star Gary. How are you, sir?
Glad to be back, boys. Sorry for the last couple of weeks. It was just like Nick, outside life has been a bit hectic, but it's great to kind of get back with you boys.
It's fine. We are all aware that, since your TikTok fame, things have gone
It's
just a little.
hard. It's hard to find time for all my fans. That's what it is.
No worries. And also, the man who has really kept the podcast alive, especially last week, it was Sam. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, Arsenal are winning again, so I'm happy again.
Lovely, lovely. Well, lads, when Gary and I, unfortunately, Nick couldn't be there and neither could Sam, only 14 weeks ago, 15 weeks ago, met in Dublin and we watched the kick-off of the college football season. Little did we think that this quickly it was going to get to the point where we are now in championship week. It is
Where has it
championship week.
gone? Where's it gone?
No idea. You blink and you've missed it. And this weekend, there are 9 conference titles being competed for across Friday and Saturday. Now, today, we're going to have a little look back at Hate Week, but in my opinion, I don't think we should do it for very long. Maybe just a couple of quick glances at a couple of
Really,
games.
just pass
Just,
right through it.
just
Just skim
I,
over it
I,
really
I would
quickly.
quite like to talk about Hate Week.
I
Thank you very
thought you
much.
would.
I'm sure you
Sure
would.
you would.
Um, we're gonna do that. We're gonna look at the conference matchups as usually is the case. We've got each of the lads has been assigned one or two conferences. We're just gonna kind of preview that. We're not gonna go into too much detail, but we are gonna preview each of the 9 conference championships. And we are going to have a peek at the second to last college football playoff rankings before selection day on Sunday. Dun dun dun.
Da-da.
Before we get into it, though, don't forget you can follow us in the AAW network on the socials and join our free to join Discord server. And you will find all of the relevant links and information in the description of this episode if you are on YouTube. They are right below our gorgeous faces. And if you are listening on Spotify or Apple, you will find them inside the app that you are listening on or any other audio platform that you are using. Before I do get properly into it, there's one other thing I want to add, right? We are doing brilliant numbers at the moment, especially on the audio related platforms. And I cannot be more grateful that this podcast is growing week on week on week. Audience numbers are up, the retention keeps going up. What we are doing is fantastic, and we cannot be more grateful for every single one of you who tunes in. However, a lot of this is not turning into finding us on social media. Some of this is not turning into, and we'd like to see if you could please give us a follow, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on Facebook. Please come and find us, come and chat with us. We are genuinely friendly people. I know my accent doesn't sound like it, but the other three are all definitely friendly people as well. Chuck us a review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to. It all goes a huge way into helping us continue to make and create this content, especially as we get into this big, busy season. Might seem like there's less games and we're starting to wrap it up. No, it only gets bigger and better and busier from here. With that out the way, Nick, we are over to Nick's news.
Halfway through last week, I thought, oh, it's going to be a slow one this next week, and then and no, right, okay. It looks like the Heisman Trophy is coming down to the Big Ten game. Winner takes all, and chances are, whether it be Mendoza or whether it be other one, I forgot his name's gone. Stay, it'll be one of those anyway. So, um. Yeah. Right. Miami Athletic Director Dan Radicic has said that apparently the ACC should revisit its tiebreaker system. That's the same tiebreaker system that all the ACC athletic directors agreed to just 3 years ago. I wonder why Miami are upset. Probably because they're not good enough, but
Probably. Well, we'll get into the ACC and the conference that nobody wanted to win later on, won't we?
Yes, Duke have made it to the ACC championship game on the fifth tiebreaker. It's gone down to the fifth tiebreaker for them to make the ACC game. Miami aren't happy about it. Well, Didums.
They shouldn't have fallen off the cliff, should they?
They shouldn't. Yeah, they shouldn't have lost to Louisville and whoever.
Florida. Oh, actually,
there you
saying
go.
you lose it to Florida is not any shame to anybody.
Talking of Duke, if they win the ACC championship, and this is chaos, this is just, I want to embrace chaos, but I don't want to embrace it too much. If Duke win the ACC championship, they will not be given a place in the college football playoff. No ACC team will go to the college football playoff, and the American Conference at the moment are destined to get the fifth conference spot, which will go to either Tulane or North Texas. But if Duke win the ACC championship, then James Madison could get a position as well, because there's no way that Duke will be given a playoff spot. So it depends on how much chaos you want. It could get even more ludicrous, and I'll go through that when we're doing the previews. Boston College, they went 2-10 this year. They are retaining Bill O'Brien, and they have apparently said that they will invest more financial commitment into the football program. So maybe that means Bill O'Brien can win 3 games rather than 2. He can't win an NFL game, that's for sure. Especially when he's the OC.
Not bitter at all.
No, not bitter at all.
Nope.
Ole Miss Athletic Director Keith Carter and several players have come out and disputed publicly what Lane Kiffin said on Sunday regarding...
Nick,
I'm so sorry, Nick. Can we hold up, put a pin in that one?
That's fine.
Once we get into the Lane Kiffin stuff, I think that needs to be put in with all the other
That's
Lane
fine.
Kiffin bits.
Okay. Kansas State head coach Chris Kleiman is expected to retire today, if not already now. Obviously, by the time you are listening to this, watching this tomorrow, it will have already happened. But any chance while we're recording now, it could be announced by the athletic director, Gene Taylor, that he is out. Former star QB Colin Klein is likely to be the new head coach of Kansas State. Today is National Signing Day. If you're interested in college football, chances are you know about National Signing Day anyway. At the moment, there's nothing absolutely massive going on. We will do a review. I think next week we said we'll do a National Signing review.
We'll definitely dedicate a good chunk of time next week to National Signing Day.
I will give you 3 big pieces of news, though. Wide receiver Dixon Wyatt has flipped from the Buckeyes to the USC Trojans. That's believed to be because they've guaranteed him more game time as a starter rather than the Buckeyes. He will be in rotation.
Is that what we're calling NIL now? Is it game time?
Possibly. In the same context, Jared Curtis, who was the top QB in this year's recruitment drive, has flipped from Georgia to Vanderbilt. He is a Nashville native, and he was willing to sign with Vanderbilt on 3 conditions. One was they equaled his NIL deal that Georgia offered. 2, they retained head coach Taylor, and he signed a new deal. And then the 3rd one was he wanted a guarantee to play. Diego Pavia is out of eligibility at the end of this season, so he will start as a true freshman. And for the same reason, Keyshawn Henderson is staying as a Houston native and has signed for Houston. He will start as their QB. Now, Connor Wigman, who is the current Houston QB, has 1 year left of eligibility. So he could come into the draft this year, but if he chooses to stay in college football, chances are expect to see him in the transfer portal because he won't want to spend his last year on the bench. And for those who don't know, Paramount Plus yesterday, that's Tuesday, released their new docu-series 5 Star. It follows freshman Bryce Underwood, Devlin Sanchez, Decorian Moore, and Malachi Goodman as they navigate their first year in the Big Ten. It's produced by Tom Brady's media company and is 8 episodes in length. The first episode is very, very good. And that is the news.
Lovely.
I did that as quick as I could.
No
Well done,
worries.
sir. Well
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. And he definitely needs to get on this 5-star once I get through all the other things that we need to watch on television. Obviously, have some ties into that one that I want to have a look at. Now, if we could save the coaching carousel stuff just for a moment, because I want to finish on it, because obviously there's a crescendo to a very specific role that I think is the best place to finish the news segment. Sam, what are you supplementing this week other than coaching carousel news?
There was nothing really else that I had. The only mention that I had was the fact that supposedly the only we don't want to go too much into commitments and signings and all of that sort of stuff, but supposedly our new signed QB Diabell has been made the number 1 QB in the class of 2026, but that is according to Rivals 300. So it was just something that we've signed another supposed great quarterback.
Next great big thing.
Yeah. Gary, what's on the Gazette?
Gazette this week is quite short, quite sweet, but on the commitment side of things as well, just a big shout out to all of these guys. They've gone through the NFL Academy over here, and a number of them, as you can see here, 11 of them have now been committed and signed, some of them to some reasonably large, UMass, Florida State, Boston College, Tennessee in there as well. So well done to everyone coming out of the NFL Academy. Hopefully we'll reach out to a few of these guys and get them on our pod. I've already reached out to Luke.
Lovely stuff. Yeah, huge shout out to every single one of them flying the flag for international American football. And yeah, we'd love to see if we can get any of them on, to be fair. Right, so all I've really got for us is coaching carousel stuff. Now, as we've already gone through over the last few months, this seems like an unprecedented year for the coaching carousel. And every time I speak to people in the States, those who've grown up with college football, those who've been through all of the changes, cannot remember a year where there were this many FBS jobs up. And that was a couple of months ago. Now, like, more have happened. We did an episode not too long ago on the different jobs that were available. Now, I'm just going to go through and list some of the in-season firings that were made. Virginia Tech fired Brent Pry, UCLA, Deshaun Foster, Oklahoma State, Mike Gundy, Arkansas, Sam Pittman, Oregon State, Trent Bray, Penn State, James Franklin, UAB, Trent Dilfer, Florida, Billy Napier, Colorado State, Jay Norvell, LSU, Brian Keller, Auburn, Hugh Freeze, Cal, Justin Wilcox, UConn. UConn didn't fire the head coach. Neither did. Then we have now at the end of this season, Coastal Carolina fired Tim Beck, and Michigan State fired. Why can I not remember his name? Jonathan Smith. A couple of those jobs had already been filled, including one that we got wrong last week. In fact, I'd say I got wrong last week because we all thought Alex Galesh had accepted the Arkansas job, and that was a whole thing that multiple places have reported. Obviously, Penn State had hired James Franklin. Not Penn State. Virginia Tech had hired James Franklin. Oklahoma State had hired Eric Morris. But over the last few days, the coaching vacancies have started to fill up. Some of them with free coaches who were available. Some of them with G5 coaches and top-level G5 coaches. I'll just go through a few now. So, North Texas have hired Neil Brown, who was the Texas special assistant Sam, has been taken from your staff. Colorado State have hired Jim Mora, who was the Yukon head coach. Oregon State have hired Jamarcus Shepard, the Alabama co-offensive coordinator. Stanford have hired Tavita Pritchard. By the way, Stanford had Frank Reich as their interim. Tavita Pritchard, who was the Commanders quarterback coach in the NFL.
He was also when Andrew Luck went to Stanford. He was the current quarterback, and Andrew Luck obviously dispossessed him from his position, and so he backed up Andrew Luck while he was in college, and that's why Andrew Luck has signed him to because Andrew Luck wants somebody he can trust. So Andrew Luck knows him, served above him as QB1 at Stanford for I think it was 2 years, but it might have been 3, and that's really where that hire came from because Frank Reich, who had initially retired, only came to do the job for a year as a favor to Andrew Luck because Frank Reich was Andrew Luck's coach in the NFL. So again, Andrew Luck as athletic director at Stanford is just trying to sort of surround his program with people he can trust. So that's actually why that hiring came about.
Yeah. And it's also worth noting as well that he was at Stanford as a coach up until 2022, where he was the OC and quarterbacks coach, went to the NFL to be the quarterbacks coach at the Commanders. So obviously he's coached Jaden Daniels now, Marcus Mariota, who's been performing at a NFL level. And not to be fair, it's not been too bad. He's not been too bad.
Marcus Mariota, that he wants to be known now.
Hey, listen, I can't help my accent. It's Marcus Mariota, and that's the end of it. So Tavita Pritchard at Stanford. Auburn have hired Alex Galesh, USF head coach. Arkansas have hired Ryan Silverfield, the Memphis head coach. That was the actual hire. Florida have taken John Sumrall, the Tulane head coach. Michigan State have hired Pat Fitzgerald, the former Northwestern head coach. LSU have hired some guy named Lane Kiffin.
Lane something or other, yeah.
Tucker, they fired Mark Stoops and they've hired Will Stein, the Oregon OC. And USF have now hired Brian Hartline. That was earlier today as he was the Ohio State offensive coordinator. Now, there's one specific one there. I'm sure you can guess which one I don't want us to mention just yet. Any of those stand out to you? I went on a rant last week about how great Alex Galesh is as a hire, so I'm going to stick by everything I've said then. Do any of those other ones stand out to you?
I think the fact that not so much the fact that who's signed for who, but I think the fact that Tulane and North Texas are allowing their coaches to continue in their position to coach for this weekend and then into the college football playoff should they make it. I think you've got to look at that and say well done. And
why did somebody else do something differently on that?
Well, a lot of teams are allowing coaches to stay in that position, but I think there's one that have said no, we don't want you. And I just think it's nice to see the G5 teams' performances, the coaching performances are getting recognised and they're moving up the ladder. Because if you're a coach coming in at the bottom, all you want to know is that if you work hard and you're successful, that you're going to get rewarded. So, as people at the top move out and the next rungs come up, yeah. So I just think it's good that a lot of G5 teams are getting recognition, and obviously, UConn's been turned around in the past sort of 2-3 years. They've turned their program right around. So he's getting rewarded as well. So no, I think it's a good thing, the amount of G5 coaches that are getting recognised.
Mm-hmm.
I think the USF one's quite interesting, with bringing in Brian Hartline from a high But I think that's more, because obviously USF have been brilliant on offense this year. And I think it's quite interesting that he's sort of seen that as quite an attractive job. And hopefully, for a team like USF, they need someone who, they'll have seen how Ohio have sort of ran their offense and hope for something quite similar. And again, it may be possible that, as we inevitably see, teams like, I know that there's a lot of cases where players get recruited to certain colleges due to their head coaches, but also there is other coaches involved within that and a style of offense that, suits a certain team or certain players may attract certain players to potentially go to USF as a more of an attractive place to go now. So I think it'd be good for them as well.
He is the play caller at Ohio State. It wasn't Ryan Day calling offensive plays. It's Brian Hartline. And look, I think I'm going to say this now and be nice now before I go in hissy fits later and kick the fuck off later. That man has produced some of the best wide receiver talent to go into the NFL over the last few years. I mean, it's not Marvin Harrison Jr.'s fault that his quarterback is fucking Kyler Murray and terrible, right? Or Jacoby Brissett.
Or Jacoby Brissett. Right? And also terrible.
That's not his fault.
I was going to say, or dealing with their OC at the moment, who's utterly woeful. Yeah. How he's still in the job, I don't know. But that's for tomorrow.
He's still Maserati Marv. He's still an excellent wide receiver. We look at the way Emeka Egbuka's absolutely killing it in the NFL this season as a rookie. You look at what Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith. Jeremiah Smith, arguably one of the two best players in the entire college football. Carnell Tate is just incredible. And then there we go. That's all my nice things out.
That hurt, didn't it? That hurt.
I could really hurt.
I could feel the pain as you were trying to get through that.
No Bryce Underwood though, Fletch?
I agree. Absolutely no Andrew Marsh either. But he's one of the best. He's called one of the best offenses in the country and produced some of the best wide receiver talent, at least over the last few years, that the NFL have gone on to be successful NFL talents. So well and good doing it in college and being good in college, but you need to do it in the NFL. And those Ohio State wide receivers do it. So it makes perfect sense, and it's an excellent hire for that bell end.
I think Chesney to UCLA is a good one as well. I think that's a step. UCLA, we've talked about being, almost a sleeping giant. They've got such a massive opportunity there, and Chesney's won pretty much everywhere he's gone. So he's got a chance there at UCLA to turn that round and maybe, with the recruitment and get a bit of money in and whatever else. I think that's a pretty good fit. But it's, it's a step up for him because I don't think he's ever coached outside of Midwest. So a lot of challenges, but I think a good hire. I think it's a good fit.
Yeah. Right. Look. So what I want us to do right now is look. I'm sure we've all got opinions. We've all seen the circus. This isn't a carousel. This has been a circus that has gone on over the past few days surrounding Lane Kiffin and his move to LSU. Sam and I were saying on the podcast last week, I know we've said it in the group chat last week, if you aren't going, just say it. It's not difficult to say, no, look, I'm staying here. That's where the fact that he didn't say it said a lot. And then we get to Friday, Ole Miss plays Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl, which, shout out to Egg, by the way, our former co-host who has an entire bowl named after him.
Yeah, it's important. It's impressive, isn't it? He gets a whole bowl game named after him, but he doesn't send in one thing on the season.
I know. He goes, the game finishes, and he does the whole, listen, I need to go and pray, I need to go and think about it, I need to go and call my friends, and he calls Coach Saban, and he calls Pete Carroll, and he calls all these other people. Saturday rolls around, and we don't hear anything. He goes to a meeting with the AD at the AD's house, and there's people outside the house. All these different things are going on. They all leave. We don't hear anything until Sunday, when a statement gets quickly released. Lane Kiffin heads to the airport with a few of his staff. Some stay
And it gets a
behind.
nice send off. It gets a nice send off from Old Miss
Just a
fans.
little bit.
Lovely
Now,
send off for the Old Miss fans.
lots of things have been said, and let me get through a couple of the pieces of information, and then we can go around the room, and we can all air our dirty laundry with Lane Kiffin or with the AD of Ole Miss. It's entirely up to you. A lot of things have been said. So, according to, there was a meeting where Lane Kiffin had said, "Look, I'm going to LSU, but I would like to coach through the playoffs." Keith Carter, the athletic director of Ole Miss, has said, "No, that's not happening." According to Lane Kiffin, hold tight there, Nick. According to Lane Kiffin, a meeting was had. The players begged him to stay and coach the playoffs. Keith Carter said no. And he totally respects and understands that decision. So he's now the head coach of Louisiana State. But it's the whole saga that went on with it. Now, Nick, I do believe that you have a rebuttal, or you have some information that contradicts something that Lane Kiffin has said.
Yeah, like I said, I started in that news article. Ole Miss Athletic Director Keith Carter and several players have taken to social media to all dispute publicly what Lane Kiffin has said. Now, this is regards to what was said in the team meeting by the players or with the players. And in relation to what Keith Carter said, he said that originally a few weeks ago, he told Lane Kiffin that under no circumstances would he be able to coach in the playoffs. And that was known to Lane Kiffin 3 weeks ago. So it's not a case of... We talked about how, why is it taking so long and what have you else. Whether Lane Kiffin was trying to change their mind and trying to play the I want to coach in the playoffs, but you can't have your cake and eat it. So a lot of what's being said in public is obviously disputing what Lane Kiffin has said. And yeah, I mean, I can't wait for next season because LSU play Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
In Oxford, right?
In
Yeah.
Oxford.
At Ole Miss, yeah. So if you end up going to that game, then take your favorite condiment, whether it be ketchup, mayonnaise, barbecue sauce. And while I do not condone it, and I would not want to encourage it, yeah, if Lane Kiffin gets covered in a condiment, then that's his fault.
He's asked for it, really, isn't
he? Sam, what's your take on it? I mean, do you think that they should have let him coach in the playoffs?
I mean, normally I would say yes, they should. The only issue is that it's a lot. It's like going to one of the. I know that obviously Ole Miss and LSU, they're not massively close, but they're both still in the SEC. They're both going to be teams where you expect them to be at the top end, challenging, and in the SEC. It can seem a bit betrayal-esque. So I can understand from that perspective, you're kind of saying, well, if you're going to leave us with someone who's basically just the same as us in the same and one of our rivals, you can fuck off now. But at the same time, it's like, well, you get all of these other coaches who basically get the chance to see out the season, because at the end of the day, the season isn't over, and he's not being given that opportunity. The flip side of it is the fact that you don't know whether what the coach is, what Lane Kiffin has said is true, or whether it's, the players could be just bitter and been told to say something to make Lane Kiffin look like a dick. We won't know the truth behind whether it's the players wanted him there or not. I think if the players didn't want him, if they found out he's going to LSU and they don't want him there, you can't. None of the players will then play for him. So you can understand it from that perspective that he shouldn't be there. But in the same sense, if they have said that they want him to be there, and then basically the director has said to, or the sporting director has then said to a few players, just post on social media. We'll probably slip you a few bit of extra nil money, and just to make it look like Lane Kiffin's a dick. Then it just makes the whole thing just looks even worse. So it's
which is difficult.
messy.
Which is
The whole
difficult
thing's
because
messy.
how could it look even worse than what seems to have occurred? I
Mm.
mean, from that point of view, Sam, it's interesting because he said, she said, and whatever else is going on. The AD director says this, and Kiffin says that. If Kiffin is the one who has instigated this, and going back to the 3 weeks ago, Kiffin knew he wouldn't be coaching. If he's the one who's gone out and flaunted himself to Florida and to LSU and other places and not been, has he been courting them, or have they been courting him? And has it been open and honest? If it's not been, then it's been, a little bit shady, a little bit underhand. Then I can totally get the AD the AD going, hey, I told you weeks ago, if you are going to leave us, this is the case. If you're going to go, you have to go. And obviously they have to go now. And this is another thing, no doubt, for the off season. We'll have to talk about the calendar and whatnot, because
that's funnily enough something I was going to say. Is I dropped it in the chat this morning that half of the problem here is because the calendar's all wrong.
Yeah.
Why when we are about to enter the playoffs,
the highest
we're at conference level weekend. We've got National Signing Day going on.
Yep.
New coaches, no sooner do they get into their new jobs, the transfer portal opens at the beginning of the year. The football playoffs still going on as the transfer portal opens. The whole football calendar
is messed up.
It needs to be stretched out and changed, because you are asking people to do jobs for next year while jobs for this year are still going on. And if you're changing roles and you're changing schools, it complicates the issue beyond thing. So I kind of get, like I said, I admire those teams that are saying to the coaches, look, yes, you can finish the job that you're doing. But they're also getting their other players, getting their other new coaches in and saying, you've got a lot to do now. You've got to do this, you've got to do that, And
they're the clever ones, though, right? If they've got their new coach in and they know their old guys going, but they're kind of going, all right, see it out, one last hurrah with the team that you've got, because next year be a different team, because these new guys come in and he's the one who's going to run the portal. He's the one who's going to run the signings and whatever else. That makes sense to me. What kind of doesn't make sense is the ones who are kind of like, as you say, it's like, because Lane Kiffin now has got to walk into LSU. Old Miss are now got Old Miss have kind of been clever and gone right, DC, keep a bit of connection. They've promoted the DC to head coach, so they've kept a bit of continuity. It'd be even worse for somebody going into Ole Miss now, because Kiffin's got all of this and now he's left it in the lurch. It's a bit of a weird scenario.
Yeah.
I think it's like you say, it is an odd situation, because it doesn't matter which way around you do it. Like, as a head coach, obviously you're going to have some involvement within committals, within X, Y, and Z, transfer portal and all of this, and essentially you could be playing for your head coach in your old team whilst recruiting players for your new team, whilst doing a bit of every, like, you're working for two teams essentially there, because you're trying to recruit your new one. You're
whilst
dealing
coaching
with
your current old.
But then also you could then steal some of the committals from your current team, and bring them into your new team, and then
which is interesting. Did you see
head coach over?
Saying that? Did you see that the cryptic Lane Kiffin tweet that went out, where it was like, "Oh, happy Monday, everyone. Just breathe, exhale, everything will be fine." Trinidad flag, tiger emoji. What was the name of the QB at Ole Miss? Anyone?
Cote d'Ivoire.
Yeah.
Oh, that would
Was
be
it-
I mean,
Trinidad Chambliss.
Trinidad
Yeah,
Chambliss.
like,
So-
for example, James Franklin's gone to Virginia Tech. You know, I think Penn State had 8 committals drop out straight away as soon as James Franklin left, and 3 of them have already committed to Virginia Tech. So
one of them gone to West Virginia.
there you go.
You got that wrong.
Yeah,
He put the wrong
he signed on the
Virginia.
wrong line there, hasn't he?
He's got dropped down Virginia. That one. Oh, no.
It's a
He's
four-letter
obviously,
word.
obviously not
second
doing
letter's
English
E.
at school.
Sunderland are
Yeah.
1-0 up.
Yay! Of course they are.
So no, I appreciate that. And look, it's been a long few days. Like I was up all night on Saturday waiting for the thing to come out, and just a couple of things that I just wanted to make a quick mention to before we move on, because we will have to very, very soon. Is the whole, it annoys me when he says about what a difficult decision it was to choose LSU, right? And what a difficult decision the whole thing was. And I think, and I'll be honest with you, and I'm like Kiffin, I know you listen to this podcast a lot. I think it's bullshit. I think you're full of crap.
Well, I'm not sure. Maybe it was a
decision-
difficult decision. It was a difficult decision between Florida and LSU. That might have been what was difficult.
There's nothing
I-
difficult about that decision. But I think for me, it comes down to, it was very clear and has been very clear. However much I said I think the best option is staying at Ole Miss, it's been so obvious he wanted to go to LSU, and he did the trip round Baton Rouge 3 weeks ago with his family, and and like has been said here, he was told 3 weeks ago, you're not coaching in the playoffs if you go to LSU. Makes me think he'd pretty much made his mind up. This hasn't been difficult. What has been difficult has been deciding between how to kind of navigate this playoffs thing. That's the difficult part, right? If your choice was no playoffs and it was Ole Miss and LSU, he'd have been at Ole Miss the day, and everything would have been said the day before. Everything would have been said for way before that he was going to LSU. The difficult decision, it was not difficult to choose to go to LSU. The difficult part of it was you didn't have your cake and eat it too. And I think some of the narrative, like, I get that some of the narrative that's been put out there about him is a load of crap. Like, don't get me wrong. And obviously, like, no one will justify whatever happens if people are trying to run him off the road and all that sort of thing. It's just not justified. There is no justification for it. Bit of booing at an airport, grow up, right? Grow up. I've seen worse things said in the middle of a non-rivalry game in the Premier League on a 3 o'clock Saturday kickoff in the stands. I have heard way worse. I'm sure you have too, Nick. I'm sure like, I've heard worse and felt less about it. You get a bit of booing at the playing as you're leaving. Get a bit of fuck off. Get a bit of like, don't care. Running you off the road is disgraceful, and that's disgusting, and that should never happen. If your kids are getting abused as part of it as well, by the way, that's not okay. Do not direct anything at children. Boy, I hate this narrative that, like, somehow he's this victim of everybody doesn't like him now because he's had this really difficult, horrible thing to do, and all he's tried to do is do the right thing. Piss off. I'm
He's made a
not
rod for
having
it.
any of it.
He's made a rod for his own back with the whole situation, just because
Absolutely.
he wanted both. He wanted the best of both worlds. So, I think from that perspective, he needs to just get on with his job.
He's got to put his head down and get on with it now,
Yeah.
isn't he? I think because
He's made his decision now. He's just got to live with it.
As the
And
saying goes,
we talked about how potentially problematic that LSU job's going to be when we did the bit a few weeks ago. If you haven't heard it, go back and listen to it. It's one of the previous episodes where we talked about which were the most sort of favorable jobs, and I'm pretty sure all of us said LSU was certainly not one of them right now. And I think there's going to be plenty of people hoping he massively fails.
Massively falls on his face. Yeah.
I was just gonna say the saying goes, when there's two parties and they're both saying different things, the truth is really probably that little bit of grey area in the middle.
Somewhere in the
That
middle.
tends
Yeah.
It's always in the middle.
tends to be where the truth is. And so Lane Kiffin can say what he wants to say. The athletic director and Ole Miss and the players will say what they want to say. And chances are the truth is somewhere in the middle. And I think, like you said, Fletch, he's obviously tried to have his cake and eat it. You know, I can understand Ole Miss not wanting him around. Apparently, I don't know how true it is. Again, I'm only going on reports, but apparently, when there was absolutely no way of him coaching, and he then threatened to try and take some players that he said he wasn't going to try
He
and
threatened
poach.
to take all the staff with him as well, or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was
So,
that thing
'cause
about the ultimatum to staff where, like, if you're not on the plane by this time and all that crap.
And this was one of the things. Apparently, originally he said he wasn't going to take staff and he wasn't going to take players. But then, when they wouldn't give him what he wanted, he then threatened that he was going to. So it's a whole mess. It is just a one big mess. He's got what he wanted. He's got a new job. He's coaching LSU. You know, line under it. Move on. You know,
Right.
look
But
forward
also-
to next year.
Have LSU got themselves a good coach, or have LSU just got themselves a headache for another 2 years?
I think that's just gonna have to
Probably
be a
somewhere
wait
in the
and
middle.
I'll say this is one of that's going to be one of
That's
those,
a
like,
fence one, isn't it? That's when you get splinters in your bum because you sit on the fence.
what he's done at Ole Miss, and obviously what he has done at Ole Miss has been fantastic. I'm not going to take that away from him. And this whole state of Louisiana has a fantastic pipeline of pure, incredible talent. It'd be amazing
But
to
there is
see
some
what he does do.
history there,
But
though, behind. You know, he got fired from USC. He left Tennessee in the lurch. Was it Tennessee he left in the
Yep.
lurch to go to
1 year,
USC?
he was
And
there for 1 year.
1 year and then buggered off and then got fired on the tarmac at USC. Didn't get on a plane, and now we're talking about getting on a plane. And I don't know. It sounds like, you know, it's not all roses in the Bayou.
He sounds like a drama llama. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Drama Tiger, I think we have to call him now, don't we?
The last kind
Yeah,
of thing I
drama
wanted
tiger.
to say, the last kind of thing I wanted to say on it was like, wait, hang on, I think I've lost it.
You losing it.
So what I want us to do at this point, because we do need to wrap this up. We can't make this a whole episode about Lane Kiffin, as much as Lane Kiffin would bloody love it.
Have you seen the college football news? Everything's been Lane Kiffin in the last few days.
Yeah. You're right. It is just the way it has been for the last few weeks. But this weekend was hate weekend. The weekend just gone. We didn't get, or at least from what we kind of would be important to talk about today, there were some games that were important. The only real game that was important was obviously Texas A&M. No other games need talking about. That's the only one.
Anyone we need to bother with.
But start us off, Sam. Hate week. One of the few teams to actually pull off what would be considered an upset as Texas take down undefeated number 3 in the country, Texas A&M.
Never in doubt.
Never.
We own them. It's as simple as that. I can't remember the last time they actually beat us in the Lone Star. So yeah, it was just one of those games where it didn't look like Texas A&M were going to really lay that much of a glove on us. It started off very slow, and then eventually we sort of just picked our way out at them, and we just grew and grew into the group. And Arch didn't have the perfect game, but he's starting to really show, and I've said this the last couple of weeks, he's really starting to show his ability as a top quarterback, and like I say, leaning more into that idea of the expected Heisman winner that the media have banged on about since week 0. And he's starting to come into his own and play more like how we expect. I think with a few more pieces, building that O-line for him and bringing in a few wide receivers will be even better. But that particular game, I think, to start with, it was just a defensive masterclass from both teams. And then for the first time this year, we had a running back who managed to reach over 100 yards, which was embarrassing and also hilarious at the same time. We finally got someone who was running the ball. I think the first big play was like a 45-yard rush by Wisner. But yeah, it was a comfortable game for us. We just never looked like we were going to lose that game, and it was an even better feeling because we dumped Texas A&M out of the SEC championship and ruined their 100% record. So they are not going to have, they're going to be going into those playoffs wounded. I don't know whether it'll be good enough for them, but
at least they're
who
going
cares?
though.
True. Well, we made our case. Sark said it. Made his whiny statement about the fact that we shouldn't then play Ohio games if it means we're going to miss out on playoffs. But we shouldn't have been. We were never going to be in my opinion, we were never going to be in the playoff contention anyway when we lost 3 games. But it did make me laugh how the media then were like, "Well, Texas have beaten X, Y, and Z, and those 3 losses shouldn't mean as much." And it's like, yeah, but we lost to fucking Florida. We were 4-8. When you look at the teams that we did beat, we had to go to overtime against Kentucky and Mississippi, 2 of the teams in the SEC who aren't particularly great. Like, you look at the overall picture, yeah, we were good against Oklahoma, but again, we generally dominate Oklahoma. We beat Texas A&M. Generally, we beat Texas A&M, but we lost to Georgia for a third game in a row, and we lost to Ohio, and then we lost our 3rd game to Florida. So we didn't deserve to be in the playoffs, in my opinion. There were teams much better than us who deserved to be there. So, but yeah, a great way to end the season for us. And now obviously with all the committals and signings coming in that we're sort of bringing in these 5-star recruits, it's only going to get better. But I think it shows that we are, that Arch can perform and that the team can perform. It's just we now need to find ways to work. And I think Sark needs to look back at this season because some of the play calling that he did was utterly atrocious. And yeah, great. And obviously Michigan didn't have a great hate week and Florida didn't have a great hate week.
Florida did. Florida State didn't.
I have to admit, I did. But I know Fletch has just stepped away, so I can say it. I did love Brutus crossing out the M and writing Ohio next to it.
There was a comment. I think. Have you seen the Annie Agar's Week 13 NFL thing? It was like, maybe they should defend it. They had to defend the M on the center circle, and they were like, well, maybe you should have defended the M in the end zone more. It's like, ouch.
Well, that was the thing at the end of that game, wasn't it? Ryan Day was sending all his players back to the locker room saying, "No, we're not going to do this. Go away." And him and his staff were almost standing with Michigan saying, "No, go away. Go back to the changing room. Go back to the locker room. We will celebrate there. Do not do this." Yet all the Michigan team and staff were all around the M and fair enough, But I mean, Michigan were second rate throughout that game. I mean, from literally kickoff till final whistle, they were a shadow of themselves, and it was Ohio in 3rd gear. Really, they
barely got started, did they?
Barely had to break a sweat.
It was the same for us against Florida, unfortunately. I mean, it showed. We've laughed and we've ridiculed Florida for being really bad and terrible and whatever else. And, unfortunately, sorry, Sam, they did beat you guys. But, Florida have been bad, but they're still miles better than the ACC team that is Florida State, which is pretty poor indication of where the ACC stands in conjunction and in comparison to the other, should we call them the other power conferences. It's pretty obvious that it's 3-1. And that gap looks like it's getting bigger.
I mean, I know Sam just talked there about the Texas game, but for me, game of the weekend was Alabama and Auburn. I mean, that was fantastic to watch. Watching, Alabama went up and were cruising, and Auburn came back, and had it not been for a interception late on when they were driving, they could have sent it to overtime, and it was, for a neutral, it was a really good game to watch. And I think with a new coach coming in, Auburn have got some groundwork that they can build on, because that was a really good game to watch. And I fell asleep. I actually fell asleep during the first quarter, and I was like, I woke up and the game had finished. I was like, what have I missed? And then I had to go back and watch it, because I was like, wow. So I ended up watching it later on the next day. But it was a game of two halves, if you like. Auburn, and that's been Auburn's problem this season. They've been inconsistent. They had a really good start. I think they went 4-0, and then
didn't they lose 4 in a row or something as well?
Something like that. And and then they couldn't get going, and every time they won a game, they then lost the next one. And so Auburn just suffered from inconsistency, but they've certainly got something to build on. It was a really good game to watch.
Yeah. So, have you gone through Vandy, Tennessee as well?
No,
we haven't. No, you've missed the Michigan breakdown, though. Sorry.
That's fine.
Yeah, we skimmed over that for you.
That's fine. I will say on that though, all that really needs to be said, Ohio State were dominant in all three phases of the game. All three phases. It was not a difficult day. Yes, their start wasn't obviously just a great first drive from the defense. I think the game should have been over then. But Ohio State were the better team in all three phases of the game. And I think one thing it goes to show is Mason Graham. The name Mason Graham kept popping up in my head on Saturday. I went back and I watched last year's game. I watched the game from last year. I watched the game from the year before, in all the 4 years prior that we beat them. The difference that a strong interior defensive line makes for any team is ridiculous. And you look at how Mason Graham has walked into the NFL and is killing it for the Cleveland Browns right now and been doing fantastic. He was a wrecking ball all game. A complete wrecking ball all game. And it was he was the one who was throwing Will Howard off all game. I can't think of one time a Michigan player even got a quarterback hit on Julian Singh. Not one. Not one. The only hit I ever saw doesn't go down as a quarterback hit and should have gone down as a roughing the passer, because it was about 3 seconds after he'd thrown the ball, and it was on a blitz right off the edge. No one picked him up, but the ball was well out of Julian Singh's hands when he got hit. It was one of those kind of games, and I do want to give a shout out to Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith, because although the interior and the entire D line was getting little to no pressure, the corners and our DBs were doing quite well as a whole, other than the Jeremiah Smith touchdown where Hill got torched, and I mean torched. Don't care if what you call it, touchdown, whatever. I don't care. That didn't change the game. I'm not having any of that. The DBs were good, and they were But what Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith were more than willing to do was say, I'm not going to run 20 yards up the field and expect a deep bomb, and we're not going to torch him. Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith were more like, we need 5 yards. Okay, let me cut a dig on the 6 yards up the field. Let me only get 6, and I'll get tackled at that point, but I will cut a 6. I will cut in at the 6. I'll run a hook. I'm more than happy to run an outside kind of a post, kind of not a post. They were more than happy to just get whatever yardage they needed to move the chains and keep the ball going. None of them were asked about being flashy, and that was a big difference as well. So I have nothing but respect for the way that Ohio State played that game. Am I fuming with the way Michigan played it? Yes. Do I think some of the play calling, especially on offense, was disgusting? Yes. But Ohio State were fantastic. They dominated all 3 phases of the game. And as annoying as it is, I can't take anything away from Ohio State in that. Like, I can't. And I won't. And it hurts. But it's one of those things. And I thought I need to come on, and I do need to say my bit, and I need to show that, like, as much as I'm a fan of Michigan, I'm not stupid. And I can obviously give the praise where it's necessary. But yeah, that's it. End of. Done.
Good. Well done. Well done for being magnanimous and
Yes.
generous with your.
Now go back to the normal Fletch.
Yes.
Yeah. Now go back to say, damn you, Ohio State! How dare you?
That team, my God, that team.
That team. It will
I
be
wouldn't even say
forever
the name of it.
known till the end of the playoffs as that team. Now we will not mention its name. It'll be the Voldemort of teams.
Another game though that was fun, and I was really interested in watching it. And again, because you can have a team that's 11-0 going up against a team that's 0-11, but hate week rivalry week means nothing. Similar to a derby, no matter when Liverpool play Everton, when City play United, when Arsenal play Tottenham, it doesn't matter the form, it doesn't matter anything. The vast majority of the time, everything goes out the window for derby day. Vanderbilt should have, and ended up beating. But for that first half, Vandy Tennessee was a tight, close game, and Tennessee would not let Vandy run away with it. And although I don't believe, and I still don't believe that he should be the Heisman winner, up stepped Diego Pavia, who put the game and Vanderbilt on his back as Vandy ran over Tennessee in the second half, and it was not a pretty sight.
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, you can talk about Mendoza and saying being for the Heisman. Like, that is what Heisman winners do. They put games on their backs for their team, and they turn up and they show up when they need it. And that's what Pavia did this weekend.
It's not going to win in the Heisman, but it's certainly scored him some points.
And his mum's fit. So, Sam, I can't believe you'd say that. That was horrible.
I didn't say anything.
It wasn't me.
Yeah, but remember, there's only one person that can hear the other half of his conversation. He's covering his own ass, not your. He's throwing you under the bus.
Mm-hmm.
And the only other game I think I wanted to mention was, well, 2 games I wanted to mention. One really quick. I wanted to mention Notre Dame going 30+ points up in the first half again. And
It's only Stanford, though.
Good teams do what good teams do.
You'll beat what's in front of you.
It's only Stanford.
Thanks, Sam.
Good teams do what good teams do.
Can we just briefly talk about it? You know, Boise State, Utah State. Jeez, what a game. Jeez, what a game. 25-24. I mean, oof. There were some crackers. There were some good games. It was, there were some games that lived up to it. San Diego State, New Mexico, double overtime game. 2 teams going at it. But yeah, Boise State, Utah State, 25-24. Otherwise it was all pretty much nothing outstanding, nothing shocking. Nothing was like really that surprising. Other than the Texas result, I don't think anything stood out as like, oh, didn't see that one coming. Navy
No.
Memphis, maybe? I don't know. What do you reckon? I thought that was maybe a slight surprise that Navy turned Memphis over, but
I think
Yeah.
California beating SMU is pretty big.
I
know
mean that's
SMU
the
haven't exactly.
ACC just doing the ACC.
I know,
Though.
but I know that the SMU haven't exactly been better. But out of the two teams, you're looking at that. You're looking at SMU to probably, at the very worst, be dominating in
Yeah.
some form of that game. They were chasing that game, and it only really became a competition in the fourth quarter. So that's as far as if I'm an SMU fan and that, I'd be livid with. I'd be embarrassed by that result personally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also want to
But that's
give
fine
one.
because that's the ACC doing its normal. Hey, we're just going to travel just within the Atlantic coast and travel all the way to California. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, that's what we mentioned last week, though, wasn't it, Sam? It was like this Pacific Coast
Coastal
matchup
playoff.
is
Yep.
the perfect game for an Atlantic Coast Conference
Mhm.
matchup. Makes perfect sense. Just nothing to see here, move on. I do want to give a quick shout out, by the way, to the and your Kennesaw State Owls on beating Liberty in double overtime to take themselves to the Conference USA Championship game.
Who did they beat?
Liberty, 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 Liberty.
Thank you. Thank you very much, because you didn't say that the first time round.
I did not. I apologize. You may file a complaint to change the host of the podcast, and I will understand in its entirety. But
yeah, big year for Kennesaw State. I mean,
and it's no
obviously
surprise,
the year that you defect from them is the year that they obviously blow up, go to the conference championships. I mean,
when did I defect?
Well, you didn't. You were the one. For years you've been saying that they're going to win the championship. They're going to win the Qs. They're going to win. This year you didn't. You didn't, did you? And what's happened?
I mean, to be fair, last year I didn't say they'd win it either, and they've only been in it since last year. But it only makes sense that Coach Mack is being put forward in the discussions for some of the top G5 roles, and I know it was shared within one of the group chats that we're in, and someone putting like a here's one for Fletch and all that sort of stuff. But this is college football. Welcome to college football. You do a job like this with a group of 5 program, you get put up for good group of 5 jobs. Welcome to the reality of college football, and I think it says a lot. And what I want to do as well, though, is give a shout out to Coach Mack for saying we are in a conference championship game this weekend. I'm not entertaining any conversations.
Yep.
And a lot of these jobs are starting to fill up, so I don't think he's gonna go. I think he's gonna stay. But shout out to him for kind of it only says for the job that he has done at Kennesaw State, which has been phenomenal, taking a team from 2-10 to 10-2 or 9-3. 7-1 in the conference. It's a fantastic turnaround, and congratulations to him. All the success has been deserved.
Gary, how did your G5 team do this year?
Really well. Really, really well.
Stunning. Really well.
Really well.
Remind me.
I think it was. Did I choose Sam Houston, who ended up like the worst
2-10 or something like that?
Worst of all college. Yeah. Pretty sure I chose the ones who are like the worst. The worst of the worst. In fact, it could have been worse. It could have been worse. I could have chosen the Oklahoma State Cowboys. So
that is true. So lesson, children, for next year. If Gary says, "I'm backing this team,"
get off of them as soon as you can.
That team.
Get away from them as soon as you can.
And my G5 team had a winning record this year. I'm going to hold my hat on that. Go OD.
And when we do our conference predictions in 2026, what we do is we say, Gary, you go first, and if you have that team written down, we choose someone else.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, by the way, actually, it's not all doom and gloom for you, Gary, at
My
all.
G5 team were got a 500 record, so at least they weren't in a negative.
Yeah.
It's not all doom and gloom because now we're going to start looking to the conference championships that are next weekend, right? As we go through each one, obviously everyone's been assigned a game or two. Well, everyone's been assigned a G5 game and a P4 game based on. So obviously, it just so it makes sense. Sam supports an SEC team. Sam, your job is to do the SEC championship game. I support a Big Ten team. I will get the Big Ten. Gary ACC. Nick. There's no independent championship, so you've been handed
we've just
the Big
thrown
12.
him in with what's left because his
I've
team are awkward.
I've got what's left.
But what Nick really actually that sounds like a negative, but given the connotation, well, given the links from the Big 12 and Brit Yormark to the UK and how much they want to be, what you've been given the UK's conference. So actually, it's not whatever's left. You have you are taking the conference that represents the first game on UK soil since the 1980s. The first that went. So listen, it's not like and then obviously look, Kennesaw State Conference USA. Sam, you get the Sun Belt for Louisiana. Nick, you get the AAC for Old Dominion. This is the way it tends to work.
I get it.
So we'll go G5 first and work our way up. Who wants to go first on there?
How much chaos do you want to ensue? That's the first question.
Start with all.
Do we want to embrace it seriously? Do we want to go real deep?
The chaos.
We had a 20-minute conversation on Lane Kiffin. Give us the chaos. Like, we're not here to not do chaos.
Okay, we will preview the ACC game in a few minutes, but for this purpose, let's just assume that Duke win the ACC championship game. As I said in the news at the beginning of the show, they will not be given a college football playoff position. The Big 12 will get one, the Big 10 will get one, the SEC will get one, the American will get one, which is either North Texas or Tulane. And should you want to embrace real chaos, James Madison will also get one because of Duke not being invited. However, should James Madison lose to Troy, so whoever's doing the Sun Belt, whoever does the Sun Belt, you might want to start here. Should James Madison lose to Troy, the final conference place will go to either Boise State or UNLV, depending on. So, if you want UNLV in the college football playoff, which they can do, you have to hope that Troy beat James Madison and Duke beat Virginia. That's how you can get UNLV in the college football playoff.
Chaos reigns. Yeah, I mean, the ACC competition, let's be honest, is a kind of alluded to it a couple of times already. It's the conference that nobody wanted this year. It looked like Miami had it sewed up for the first few weeks. Miami then just fell off. Then it's been like nobody else has really been there. Georgia Tech looked like they were going to run away with it, and then Georgia Tech didn't get it. Virginia came out of nowhere. It's ranked 17th, I think is, indicative of the fact that they're in it. Duke, as we've just talked about, the whole count back system and how Duke have managed to get to the championship game. It's just, for a power conference, it's embarrassing against everybody else conference, which is nice and settled and have a number of teams that are strong and, strong and stable, if you like. I mean, you can go down that road. It's just, for God's sake, it's about time the ACC got their act together and just got better. Yes.
Well, regardless of what happens in the ACC, the American Conference will get a playoff place. I will start there if you don't mind.
Take it
The
away.
winner, both coaches from Tulane and North Texas, as we mentioned, will leave for new jobs, but they are there to coach. This is Tulane's third appearance in the conference game. They are yet to win. They are currently 0-2. North Texas will look to spread the field and attack the gaps downfield. Tulane will rely on Jake Resloff's decision making and his ability to run on RPOs. So, depending on how Texas are going to defend, Jake hasn't done well against the blitz as much as he's done not blitzed. So, I think from Texas's point of view, they really do need to blitz Jake to have a good chance of beating him at the line of scrimmage. The offense are both they're very level, 57 and 52. Their average snaps are around the 70 mark. Their run plays are just under 50%. Pass plays is just over 50%. This is going to be a very even game. Personally, because I've got Tulane down to win the American Conference, and that would give me a point in our conference's competition. And it's 1 point that I want because I can't take another one later. I would say I'd like Tulane to beat North Texas. But I think the winner will come down to which defense will answer the bell. Because if your defense can stand tall, and if Tulane can cut out the middle of the field and stop North Texas throwing, they've got a very good chance of beating them. Same as if North Texas can get to Jake Resloff quickly and blitz him, they've got a good chance of winning too. So I think this all comes down to the defenses of both teams. And
I mean, it's a cliche, but defenses win championships, right?
Supposedly. Are Tulane really going to go 0-3 in the championship game?
Oof. A hard one. It'd be a hard moniker to shake, that one, if they did, wouldn't they? They'd be classed as perennial chokers / losers.
Yeah. I know you've said it. I mean, I've not got too much to say on this. This has been one of the most interesting conferences to watch. Obviously, this is where a lot of the good head coaches are coming from and getting big jobs. The only thing I just want to add is, yes, as far as this conference goes, the only person still left in this conference is Nick, who chose Tulane to win the conference. Nobody said North Texas or Tulane. Nick is the only one left in the predictions.
I said Tulane last year as well.
So what we are saying here is Gary, Sam, and I are all rooting for North Texas, so you don't get a point.
Go on the mean green.
But well done, Nick, on at least getting one of your team to the championship. The rest of us.
I just waited. I waited to see who Gary was picking, and then I picked somebody else, and I just picked Tulane.
As discussed, wise choice. Everyone should follow that. Everyone should follow that.
Yeah. So next up, I'm gonna throw to. Shall we go with Sam? Right, Sam.
The Sunbelt.
Yeah, will you set us off with the Sunbelt, please?
So the Sunbelt, obviously between James Madison and Troy. Just as kind of, I suppose, the context for the match, this will be James Madison's first ever Sunbelt championship match. They've never been to one before. It'll also be obviously in total with that, it'll be the first meeting between James Madison and Troy in a Sunbelt championship. In terms of sort of the records between the two, The all-time series between JMU and Troy is 2-1 in favor of JMU, and the other side of it is Troy have been to the Sun Belt Championship 8 times, winning it 3 times before. The years in which they won it were fairly recent. If I can just find where those were, because I did have them a minute ago. 2022, oh sorry, twice, not 3 times, twice. 2022 and 2023 were the last 2 times that Troy won the title game. Their record in obviously in those games shows that they have much more of a better record. In terms of across the season, looking into this season, James Madison have a total offense of 451 yards per game. Troy with only 325. Pass offense 211 to 216, so fairly similar. The big difference, and I think this is going to be the biggest difference between the 2 teams and where this game's going to be won and lost. James Madison's rushing offense is 239.8 yards per game, it's joint 6th this year, whereas Troy's is only 109.2, which is tied 121st. Scoring offense, again, 37 points per game for Madison, JMU, sorry, and then 25 for Troy. And in terms of total defense, in terms of yards allowed per game, 253 for JMU, which is again joint 5th, whereas Troy are 377, which is 71st. The passing defense again very much in the favor of JMU. Same with the rush defense as expected. And scoring defense, JMU have 16 points allowed per game, which is joint 10th. In terms of the stats this year, James Madison are the much more well-rounded team and probably the team that are significantly more favourite for this game. I mean, they're already 11-1 compared to Troy's 8-4. And I think just JMU have just generally have a much more, just have a stronger overall team. The only thing that you can say potentially in Troy's favour is the fact that the last time that they played, the game was only 16-14. JMU did win that game, but it was a very low-scoring game. And potentially that they have much more experience in championship games, which again it does play a part. I know people they won't want to talk about that, but it does play a massive part, especially for players who are a lot younger and don't have that experience of dealing with those sorts of situations.
And given things like James Madison could be in the playoffs, but how much does that, there's so much that it's not just a game where okay, we get it, we win the SBC, and we'll then go on to a nice bowl game and potentially walk away with there's a lot of pressure riding on this to go to the CFP as not even necessarily a 1 G5. You could be in as one of 2 G5 teams. There's a lot of pressure. So I can only imagine that will also weigh on them as they're going into this game. There's a lot of pressure going on them.
Yeah, but me personally, I still think that their team is good enough to win this game, and I think they'll go in expected favourites, and I think again I don't expect it to be a blowout. I expect it to still be a competitive game, but I think that James Madison are just the much stronger team in this case.
Yeah.
Go JMU.
And at the moment, they're currently minus 23.5.
Jeez, man.
So they expect a blowout.
For a championship game.
Yeah, minus 23.5 with the
And that
over being 47.5.
and that's not a home game either. That's a neutral site game.
Yeah, that
It's
it's going to
nuts.
be played. It's going to be played at the Bridgeford Stadium / Zane or Shoker Field in
That's easy
Harrison.
for you. That's easy for you to say.
Yeah, I don't
Did
even know
Doesn't
if
anyone
sound
it's
very
else?
easy
actual
for Sam to
stadium that
say.
is. But
Did
Um,
anyone else pick JMU to win the conference
so
apart from
we'll say
me?
as far as the Sunbelt goes, 4 out of 5 people are still in this one. Gary,
not me.
Yeah.
Nick, Egg, Fletch, and someone chose the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. What a silly idea
Wow.
that ended up
You know
being.
what? I'm going to blame you because I felt like I was forced
So
into corner to
we did
choose
egg
them.
you into that one. We did egg
Yeah,
you into that. I think you were kind of press
I
ganged
didn't
into.
want to
Well, Sam,
choose
you
them.
have to. You have to because it's the Raging Cajuns. I do remember that. I do
Yeah,
remember us kind of
Sam,
bullying you into taking
Sam,
it.
grow
But
up
it's
here.
okay. Sam wouldn't have taken JMU
I
anyway.
didn't fall for the bullying to pick Old Dominion. I said no, they're not good enough. I picked James Madison
Grow, I
instead.
was saying, grow up here.
I didn't allow myself to be bullied.
Um,
yeah,
exactly,
but
grow
you're
up here.
older than me, so
Uh, just
I
wiser.
said I didn't get bullied into Kennesaw State. I feel like an idiot for that one now.
yeah.
But
The difference is you feel like an idiot for under egging your team. I feel like I got pressured into picking Raging Cajuns because they did really well last year. So why wouldn't they be a good pick?
yeah, no, that's fair. I get it. I will quickly go on to the Mac. Why not? Um, so this is Western Michigan at Miami of Ohio. Um, hang on a sec. Yeah. So Miami have now made their third consecutive MAC championship game. This game is played at the one and the only Ford Field. The last team to do this was Northern Illinois, who went to 5 in a row from 2011 to 2015, and Bowling Green, who went on to 3 in a row from 2013 to 2015. If you cannot tell, that was Northern Illinois versus Bowling Green for 3 years in a row in the MAC. Then there has been no back-to-back winner, however, since Northern Illinois went back-to-back in 2011 and 2012. Western Michigan have not been to the MAC championship game since they won it in 2016, and this is only the 4th time they will have ever been, with the other 3 being obviously 2016, and then they went in 99 and 2000 as well. This is not a common occurrence for one of these teams, and this is where it comes down to Western Michigan have been the ever so slightly better team. They lost, however, to Miami of Ohio. This is their only conference loss. That was, however, on the road at Miami, Ohio. This is obviously on a neutral site. Gary, you look puzzled.
Hmm?
I was wondering, what have I said wrong here? What have I said wrong? I'm looking at it. So yeah, this game has already been played this season. Miami of Ohio walked away with it, though it was again at Miami's house. The game ended 26-17, so it was a 9.2 score game. I would expect this to be a good game. I think both of these teams have had a propensity to put up points as and when possible, but when facing slightly more challenging opponents, they have again also had a tendency to win games, but by putting up less than 20. But both of them have won games by putting up 30 plus. This is going to be a fun game. I don't see any situation in which this is not a fun game. There is no such thing as not a fun game in the MAC.
The Mac.
And this is why the equivalent, and this is what one little fun thing for everyone who says, what's the college football equivalent of a cold Tuesday night in Stoke? It's 1/4 in Esperanto. And this is, yeah, I think, I've not gone too much into where Western Michigan are going to attack on Ohio. I just think this is going to be a fun game, probably a high scoring game. Don't let the previous game in Ohio in when even was it? It would have been October. Confused, get it twisted. This is going to be, I think, a high scoring affair. And it's
Over under's only
dome,
43.5. Very strange.
and it's in a dome as well, so you think for things like the kicking a bit less of a problem, the weather will be less of a factor going into it because it's bloody cold in Detroit at the moment. With that in mind, though, I'm going to throw over to Gary. Now, this
Before you
feels a
do, who still has teams in this?
oh yeah,
Don't miss me out. My only one.
I wonder who might have some. I wonder who
My
might have
only
some
one.
skin in the game here.
One of two.
the as far as the MAC championship goes, no one said anything about this one. This one's the one we can move on straight.
This one's dead
No.
straight. It's dead blue on this one.
Toledo lost on a
Nobody.
tiebreaker, otherwise I'd be in that one as well. But they lost on a
Nobody.
tiebreaker.
Nobody backed Western Michigan. Only one person backed Miami of Ohio, and that would be Sam.
Was he bullied
So
into that? Or did he make that choice on his own?
I made that.
I think that one was
choice on
all
my
him.
own.
That one was all him.
Yeah.
Oh.
Especially after the fact that they were 0-3 after the first 3 games. I thought, oh Jesus.
Yeah.
So yeah, at least I've got one. They're probably going to lose anyway. So
I wouldn't be too sure. Again, this is a team that's just been to
Anything could
back-to-back
happen.
championship games. This is a team
True.
that knows what it's like to be in a championship game, and you can't take that kind of experience off the table. That is very, very valuable.
I did back Miami last year as well.
Yes, you did. Gary, what's going on with the Mountain West? Everyone's favorite Pac-12 feeder conference.
This is a blinder. This is going to be a blinder. Boise State, the runaway, team that we all thought was going to run away with it. Sorry, I say we all thought. A fair few of us all thought that Boise State were going to come back and bounce back and just repeat. Have found their way back in, I think it's safe to say, from an early sort of start, which wasn't great, and are now in the championship game. Should probably just have enough to beat UNLV. But again, UNLV had a flyer, finished 10-2. Boise State finished 8-4. So UNLV should nominally be favourites, but I just wonder if the Boise State, as we've talked about before, Boise State have been in this situation before, more recently than UNLV. Is that going to be enough? Either way.
Boise also beat them in the regular season.
Beat them in the regular season,
didn't they?
Yeah. So it wasn't even close. So they have that on them. There's going to be points in this one. Neither team can really defend. So, buckle up. This is going to be one of those near on 60-point games. So it's probably going to come down to whoever ends up with the ball at the end on offense, because the defenses can't stop each other.
Yeah.
You think the MAC's going to be fun? The Mountain West is just going to be end to end. How many points are going to get racked up?
Yeah. Is it going to be return of the MAC?
Boise favourites over 58.5 for the points.
Absolute tune, by the way.
It is a good tune, yeah. 90s, height of the 90s.
Height of the 90s. It's still a banger. Still a banger.
Sam, the 90s was the period before history existed.
Yeah.
I know you young folk don't remember the 90s.
I was born in the 90s.
Do you know what the best thing is? Sam's older than me, and you took the swipe at Sam. Like,
I know.
We seem to be swiping at Sam. We seem to be swiping at Sam anyway. So
do you know what? It's a nice change from you doing like little cheap shots on Michigan. I won't lie. I feel sorry for saying this.
We did that earlier. You just walked away. Let's
be honest. Earlier. If you remember the 90s, we all know that's pretty means you shouldn't really remember the 90s if you're our age.
Well,
Less said about that, the better. If I think I catch that drift.
I think the 90s was when Nick last had hair.
Oh
Oh,
wow! No, I had hair in the noughties. Thank you. I did have hair in the noughties. I had a full head of hair. I had a full head of hair, and then I got married, and that happened.
I
So
thought you were going to say you had a full head of hair and then you started spotting
preach,
ND.
brother. It's starting to go a bit thin up there, to be honest.
no, I had a full head of hair, and then I got married, and then it disappeared. So you know.
Yeah. Can I just say, by the way, that was impeccable. Well done. So I'm impressed with that one. That was beautiful.
No, I can take.
I
I
had to
can
get I had
take
to get
it.
something in there.
We should probably put a disclaimer out that this podcast does not entail bullying, and we do not promote bullying, and we don't
I'm sorry,
condone it.
you can't.
Well,
we can't put a comment out saying it doesn't entail bullying. It really
It's
does, but
listen. Mrs. Fletcher's
we
done
do-
all
we do-
the
we do
HR.
have a
Banter
Florida-
is bullying.
We do have a Florida State fan here, so they bully themselves.
yeah, just punch ourselves in the face.
So yeah. So listen, Sam's going down, but he's swinging. He's really
Yeah.
swinging.
Anyway, back on point. Back on point. Is
Anyway.
it just me that's got skin in the Mountain West, or is anybody else
So
got skin in
is
it?
the Mountain West? No, it is not.
Not
Nick.
just you.
Nick, you are the only one who has skin in Las Vegas, which actually I realize as I say that out loud, that's got so many connotations that you don't want to have on your
What I did in Vegas stays in Vegas. Thank you.
not what I heard or saw online. Boise
That's not what the
State,
doctor said.
Boise State, however, Egg has skin in this game. Fletch has skin in this game. Sam has skin in this game, and Gary has skin in this game. We are all still in this one.
Would you believe it? Would you believe it? I'm surprised I
So-
didn't go for somebody totally random.
So the
in
fact
this
that
one.
you all went with Gary says that the
It's probably
Las
going to be
Vegas-
UNLV who win this one. Bugger.
Yeah, but the difference is that Boise State know how to beat UNLV. They've already done it.
Yeah.
They'll do it again.
Yeah. I will, by the way. There's one more group of five conference, and I wanted to save this one for myself because I'm a selfish bastard, and also like I've got the gear and everything. So let me just prop up the chair 1 second. In only their second year in the FBS, Kennesaw State are going to the Conference USA Championship game from 2-10 last season to 9-3 this season, 7-1 in Conference USA. They beat Liberty at the weekend to go to the championship. This wouldn't have been a problem realistically. As long as they won, they were going into the championship, given that the only two teams that were going also up for the championship played each other. One team had to lose, one team would have gone out. So Kennesaw State, as long as they won, were safe. Jacksonville State, however, were the other team who played Western Kentucky at the weekend. Jacksonville State won. This is only their third season in the FBS themselves, and they have gone now to back Conference USA championships. This is an impeccable start to life in the FBS. They could have, they couldn't have gone in 2023. They didn't have a good enough record, but they were bowl eligible in 2023 and were one of the few teams where in 2023 there weren't enough bowl eligible teams. So they got special dispensation from the NCAA to apply to go to a bowl game and got an invitation, even though it was their first year outside of the FBS. They're one of the few special teams to have got away with that one. Last year's FBS Conference USA Championship game, they demolished Jacksonville State. I mean, I don't mean they won. They demolished Western Kentucky 52-12. This is a game that has already been played this year, and despite being both of these schools only meeting for the first time in 2017, as I said a few weeks ago when Jacksonville State played Kennesaw State, it already has a name for the game, and that name is Uncompromised Hate. Uncompromised Hate. They were rivals in the FCS when Kennesaw State were, let me just check my notes again. Oh yeah, the winningest startup program in college football history. Just want to remind everybody of that one. But this has been a rivalry that's followed its way to the FBS and into Conference USA and should be a cracking game. It promises, again, to be a high-scoring game. I would personally put my money on Jacksonville State, sadly. They are an excellent outfit and have been dominant primarily all season. And while Coach Mack has done a fantastic job with Kennesaw State, there have been too many games this year where they start fast and then beg a team to catch up. That doesn't work when you play a team like Jacksonville State, and they've got a couple of games where they've gotten away with it. My key to this game, I can only look at it from a Kennesaw State fan's point of view. Give Benyard the ball. When Benyard had this is a weekly tweet from me now these days. When Benyard has the ball, good things happen. And good things happen for you, not for anybody else. Bad things happen for other people. So that is my key, is find your ways to get your playmakers, get Amari Oldham, get him confident and moving the ball early on, but get him finding Gabriel Benyard early in the game. Get him involved in the different ways that you can, because he can get involved in the run game on jet sweeps. He can get involved in the deep shot game. He can get involved in some of those early down, just get some chunk yardage plays. He's good all over. So that's my key to this game. I do want to mention though that as far as the Conference USA game goes, nobody has any skin in this game apart from personal skin. Nobody had Jacksonville State or Kennesaw State predicted to go to the championship game. There is, however, I would like to hand out the first points of the year, and they do go to Gary and Egg. The Pac-12 will not have a championship game, but we've included it anyway because any excuse to have Beavers and Cougars continually mentioned over a short period of time is not something we are going to pass up on this podcast, because Nick is a child and desperately wants these kind of silly jokes. And it's got nothing to do with me. I can't stop it.
Honest Gov.
Both of these teams played each other. They played each other twice this year, once in Oregon, once in Washington. And while the games were split 1-1, it was a close one when Oregon State won. It was not a close one when Washington State won. It was not close. So if we go, no matter what metric you go off, Washington State had the better record, the better overall record. They had the better point differential. They had all sorts of different things going their way. And they at least still had their head coach at the end of the season.
Usually
Washington State finished officially top of the Pac-12. There will be no championship game. That's what we go off. So for all the piss taking for Gary gets the first point on the board.
It may well be my only point.
But do you know what? It goes to show that you are not the problem in this, because you do get it right.
I mean, when there's a 50-50 chance.
12 next year.
When there's a 50-50 shot. Yeah. When it's a toss a coin, I can do all right, But
and yeah, it's just one of those where, like, listen, I expect Gary to know all about the Cougars as well. So it's.
You mean what you're saying? I know Cougars better than Beavers. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I listen. I'm
Before we move on
being
to
knowledgeable in both.
Before we move on to
the proper conferences,
the big conferences.
Power 4, yes.
And just so we can then finish off the predictions, because I've included these obviously as 9 games, so we can include them. Can I just get your predictions for each of the group of 5 game winners?
Yes.
So Troy versus JMU.
JMU.
James Madison.
JMU, yeah.
Okay, so JMU sweep. Kennesaw State versus Jacksonville State.
I've learned my lesson.
Head or hearts. Head or heart.
Who, boys?
Jacksonville
Hooty
State.
hoo. Hooty hoo's the Owls, baby.
So 2 for Kennesaw and 2 for Jacksonville.
That'd be 3 for Jacksonville. Me, Gary, and you, Sam.
I'm going for the kid.
You're not going with Kennesaw.
No, that's
I'm-
what I'm saying. I said, listen, that's I heard Nick, but like, surely that's 3, Sam, for Kennesaw State because you didn't say anything, so I can only assume that you are back in Kennesaw State in this one.
No, I'm not.
Disgusting behaviour.
I was
Listen,
already there at the beginning. As soon as he said 2 and 2, I went, I know where Sam's going then, because I heard you two.
So,
North
Nick, I'm not
Texas
asked about the bullying anymore. Keep the bullying about.
North Texas against Tulane.
Tulane.
North Texas.
North Texas.
Tulane.
Oh.
Unlucky, Nick.
Sorry. It's only because I picked him. I better back him.
UNLV against Boise.
Boys,
UNLV.
Got to stick with Boise. I picked them from the beginning.
Same. I picked UNLV. I'll keep backing them.
And then finally, Miami, Ohio versus Western Michigan.
Miami, Ohio.
I'll go WMU, which means everyone else can go Miami, Ohio now.
No, I feel like I need some sort of Michigan win over Ohio in my life at this moment in time. I'm backing those Broncos. Why? I'm backing the Broncos.
You're backing a rival.
They're not a rival. It's
They're in the
just
same
like,
state as you,
listen,
therefore they're a rival.
listen, I was desperate to go and watch them play in Germany next year until it was pulled under the rug from me. I just wanted to watch Western Michigan play in Germany. That's all I wanted.
Sure.
They've been taken from me by some
Makes
evil
sense.
school.
Right, that's everyone. That's all of
Right.
the group of 5 picked.
Lovely. So, what I'm going to request is we're going to start with the ACC. Duke at Virginia.
Duke at Virginia playing in Charlottesville. This game is not even going to be close. Both teams are in their first ACC championship game for a while. I think 2013 was the last time Duke were in it, and I believe 2019 for Virginia. It's been a while that both of these teams are in here. A championship game, 2 teams which have clawed, fought, scraped, whatever way, kind of floated to the top of the. It's not just cream that floats to the top, unfortunately, at times. It's not going to be a good game. It's going to be pretty one-sided. I don't think the Devils are going to really stick with the Cavaliers too much. I think it's going to be pretty one-sided. I know the line seems to indicate it's going to be tighter than that, but I just don't think this is going to even be close.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And look, sometimes you do get these conference championship games where it's not particularly close. It used to be a lot more like that when it was divisions within conferences, but these are the things. Sometimes you just get one team that is just a lot better.
Yeah.
And because of the way seedings work, it happens. I mean, what was it, 2022 when, I mean, for 2 years before that, like 3 years, it was just Clemson were battering teams in the championship game. Pitt battered Wake Forest in the championship game. Clemson won 62-17 back in
2019,
well,
again,
when
strangely
Virginia
enough,
made it.
Virginia.
Like,
yeah.
It happens, unfortunately. These are just some of those kind of games. So you hope it isn't, but it happens, unfortunately.
Yeah. And the last time that Duke were in a game, they got battered by a score 45-7 by Florida State. So, I haven't got great expectations of this game. I think it'll be one-sided. I don't think it'll be a competitive game. It's probably going to be one of those ones where everyone really knows what the score is going to be. And from an ACC greater, bigger picture perspective, the conference needs Virginia to win this game to not unleash the chaos that Nick's mentioned. Because if Duke win this game, having no ACC representative is going to be embarrassing. So Virginia have to win this game from that perspective, which of course means they won't. because it's
Yeah,
the
probably.
SEC, and this year nothing works.
I think Virginia will win it. I think I think when it comes to, when it comes to the two teams, I think Virginia do have the strength and the power to beat Duke. I think to
You're
see
just leaning
Duke
into the
win,
chaos, aren't you?
yeah, to
You just
see
want the
Duke win,
chaos.
which would get James Madison in the college football playoff. I just think it'd be
Listen,
funny.
all I
But
want,
For
all I
Christmas?
want for Christmas is Paul Feinbaum as two group of 5 teams make it into the playoffs. Like, that's all I want.
Just
The
down ahead. Just
meltdown is going to be of biblical proportions, and I need that in my life. I need it.
Sam put me down for Virginia to win. I'd love Duke to win. I want Duke to win, but I think Virginia will win. So put me down for Virginia to win.
Yeah, I'll give me Virginia as well.
I'm going with the Cavaliers.
Yeah, it's a clean sweep.
As far as this goes from preseason predictions, though, nobody had any of these things on.
Nobody's anywhere near it.
You all jumped on the Clemson train with me. I was on the Clemson train last year, and I was the only one that won it. And then you all jumped on the Clemson train with me this year. And we should have got.
I was bullied into
Where did you go?
that
Georgia Tech, though, didn't you?
No, I went Clemson.
You did.
Did we all go Clemson?
Pretty much. I'm sure somebody else
one
went.
person didn't.
I probably went SMU or something stupid.
Yeah, I was bullied into going to Clemson. I bullied into choosing
Of course
that
you
one.
were.
I know how it feels, Sam. But yeah, no one did. As far as I'm going to jump over
Actually,
to the
did I
Big
go
Ten.
Miami? Anyway, I can't remember.
Someone did. I believe someone did. As far as the Big Ten goes, I don't think too much needs saying about this game. We've all seen so much of both of these teams. This is the number 1 team in the country versus the number 2 team in the country. Both of them are undefeated. Ohio State's first Big Ten championship game since
he called
2000.
He called them. Wow, he used the name, not the team.
Since 2020, they won 4 Big Ten championship games in a row from 2017 to 2020 until they were knocked off their crappy little perch. And then Michigan won 3 in a row. So I had to jump something in there to make me feel better. They haven't been in since 2020. They have a 5-1 record so far in the Big Ten championship game. Their only loss was in 2013 to, of all goddamn teams, Michigan State. Indiana, however, that was a word that will never be said again on this podcast. Indiana, however, are in their first ever Big Ten championship game.
Cinderella story.
Absolute Cinderella story. Building on last year, this is their best season in history. They have not really sniffed a Big Ten championship game previously. Even in your good seasons, I mean, this conference used to be split between like an East and West division, and they were in the same division as Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State. Hence why Penn State for a while were just not in it, because you're in a division with that, you're in the wrong side of that conference, whereas like Iowa can make it every year because they're like the best of a not great bunch, whereas you've got Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, etc. in your side of the conference, which is never a good thing. This is going to be a really, really interesting game. This is probably going to be a bit of a chess match, and it's going to be really fun. Probably famous last words. Neither of these teams has anyone really felt like they've truly been tested this year. Now, is that because they are that good that no one feels like a test to them, or is it because they haven't really had a test this year? Ohio State have probably had the biggest test in air quotation marks. They've played the more ranked teams. They've had.
You're not talking about last weekend, are you?
Well, number 15 ranked team in the nation. On paper, you would put that forward as the bigger test than anything Indiana have had this year in terms of head-to-head record, like the strength of schedule. Ohio State's is slightly worse than, well, slightly better, more in favor of Ohio State than Indiana's. They've had a bit of a softer schedule. It's just one of those things, and I think the real question is right now is it's who's got the bottle and who's ready, the most ready going into this game, the most prepared, and who's kind of really looking forward to the playoffs more than the championship game. It's
Someone's
going to
O
come
has
down
to
to.
go.
And like you say, and the final thing I think on Nick's point before was like, who wants the Heisman? Who wants the Heisman? Up step Mendoza, up step Julian saying, go. You're to like step up, prove your point, make it on the second biggest stage you can right now. So this is
I
going to
think
be one of those kind of games.
I kind of see Ohio winning this one. I mean, to be honest, I see Ohio going unbeaten all the way to the end of the year. But it annoys me. It annoys me personally, and it's annoyed me all year that when we were picking our conference winners, I was still bitter about Ohio beating us in the national championship final, that I refused to pick Ohio out of spite. When really I wanted to pick them because I thought they were that good. But
Yeah.
I didn't want. I mean, I picked Oregon on that basis. I was like, I'm not picking Ohio. They beat us, But I think I can see them going all the way back to the national championship again and winning again. So I think, much as this could be entertaining, I think this eventually will see the Buckeyes winning.
Yeah.
I think I went with Oregon as well.
It's not going to be any surprise, by the way. Give me Indiana. I am smoking a cig all the way to the Big Ten. Well, yeah,
You just
smoking,
can't do it, can you?
smoking that cig pack. I can't. I'm not allowed. Like it. It doesn't. Right. I'll say it now. Right. No, my body can't do it. I can't do it. It won't let
Can't
me.
say you can't say it, can you?
My jaw doesn't know that movement.
You got give him his credit. He's an Michigan fan. He's an Michigan fan. They don't pronounce the M in Ohio, so it's
Oh, why is
it's,
it? Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah,
is it? Is
I'm
that the
going.
dyslexics Ohio with the M in it?
they just cross it out on the field.
The Anyway, so next conference up is the Big 12, and then
Gary,
Sam, you can.
who did you want to pick for this?
Fuck, I used to-
I haven't said it yet. I'm still toying, and it's like, give me the Sooners,
Let's
just
go.
just for chaos, just for chaos.
All right, Big 12, Nick, and then Sam, you can finish us up with the SEC.
The most
I
important division.
I
Well,
find
that's according to everybody in the SEC, anyway.
I find myself here in the biggest quandary of all, because I've picked BYU to win the
You-
conference,
Yep.
but I need Texas Tech to win this game, because if BYU win this game, Notre Dame will not be in the playoff. But if Texas Tech win the game, Notre Dame will be in the playoff. So I find myself having to weigh up the fact that Notre Dame in the playoff is more important than me getting a point on the
I've got
A
conference
mythical
winners
point.
I've
table.
got
It's
a
a
really good way that Notre Dame can make it into the playoff, right? Go win your own conference championship. Oh wait,
oh wait.
you're too good for a conference.
Well, we won the FBS Independence Championship. We beat UConn. We had a better
Wow.
record than UConn, so we won the FBS Independence Championship.
Well done.
So
Isn't that like Army,
the
Navy?
made-up one.
Isn't that like Army, Navy, Air Force winning
Do you-
against?
I
do you
mean,
remember-
it can't be any worse than the Pac-12, can it?
Do you remember the video of Michael Owen when he was a bit younger and he scored that goal? And just the quote, "Congratulations, he's 15." That's well done. Well done.
So yes, this is the danger game for me, because I'm sorry, my conference winner point goes out the window. I don't care. Texas Tech to win, please, Sam. Right. Texas Tech are likely to get a first round bye if they win this game. BYU will get a college football spot if they win the game. They won't get a college football spot if they lose. We saw these two teams meet in week 11. BYU got absolutely battered on the offensive side of the ball. They could not get anything going. Eventually, their defense ran out of gas and they just couldn't hold the game. And I think they lost 29-7, I believe it was. So for BYU to win this game, they have got to perform better on the offensive side of the ball. They need to speed it up because they like to take their time, get the quarterback likes to have the ball in his hands, and rather than straight in and distribute out, he likes to take his time. Against Texas Tech, you haven't got it. You need to get that ball out quickly, or at least find a back, hand it off to a back quickly, and get it gone. Texas Tech, I expect to rely on their run game a lot. It's one of the most successful run games in the college football. They are, Texas Tech are 50-50-ish in pass and run plays, whereas BYU are the opposite way round. They're 50-ish going the other way. Texas Tech's defense is ranked number 1. Their offense is ranked number 26. Meanwhile, BYU have a 55 ranked offense. So, again, their offense just needs to perform better. I think BYU need to see more from their linebackers. They need to push inside out, push the Texas Tech laterally and attack them inside out. Yep. For me, this game is going to be won in the middle. It's going to come down to the defense. Both defenses I expect to get to win their battles, and it'll just be which offense can perform better. So I expect it to be closer than 29-7 of 5 weeks ago. But give me Texas Tech, please. I need Texas Tech to win. I don't care about my point.
Right. I'm also going with Texas Tech here. At the end, I watched the game a few weeks ago, and special teams was arguably BYU's biggest downfall. It's when I know losing the special teams battle can ruin your game. It really, really ruined the game for BYU the first time round. I don't expect that to necessarily be the case, but overall, Texas Tech were the better team. They moved the ball better. They were all round a better team as a whole. I expect that to be the case, even if it is, again, much closer without the special teams woes of a few weeks ago in Texas. So give me Texas Tech. I'm riding that one. I'm going to ride that train, given just how good they were in comparison a couple of weeks ago. And then, as far as pre-season, I know Nick's already said BYU. You chose BYU. Egg chose Texas Tech.
Like I said, I'd be calling it now and saying go for BYU because that's who I picked. But unfortunately, Notre DAMN come first. And
as it should, always be the case. By the way, I should always be the case. Team glory before Pitt. There's no Iron team.
So for that purpose, I need a Texas Tech win. I just don't care.
Understandable. What did you want to say there, Sam? Sorry.
All I was going to say was that I've chosen Texas Tech as well. And Gary's, unfortunately, if you're on YouTube, you'll have seen that Gary's had to dip out. He also chose Texas Tech.
Yeah.
So Texas Tech clean sweep for this one.
Yeah. And finally, I realised, look, it's been a busy, long episode. We've had things that we've needed to talk about and go through. The Lane Kiffin thing was obviously a lot. But we are here to do the final bit. one of the final bits. Sam, who would have predicted? It's the El Clasico, but for the SEC Championship. Talk us through the SEC Championship, please, there, Sam.
Yeah, so Georgia versus Alabama. All-time head-to-head record, Alabama leads 45 to 26 to 4. Alabama had the longest streak with 7 straight wins between 28 and 2021. And the largest margin of victory, again, Alabama's 36 to nothing win in 1905. So the fact that there's not been more than 36 points in a game between these two says a lot about the two teams. This game, or this SEC Championship, will be the 5th time that Georgia and Alabama have met for the SEC Championship. On the last 4 occasions, one team has won them all. Which team is it?
Bama.
Bama. Bama are, well, Georgia are 0-4 versus Alabama in the SEC title. Which is quite impressive.
I will say this, though, and you're absolutely right, it's hella impressive, but Alabama are missing one key piece that they had for all 4 of those games, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is Nick Saban.
Mm-hmm. So in terms of the game as a whole, again, similar to what we did with the SBC, scoring offenses in terms of points per game, there's only a point in it. Alabama have 33.3, Georgia 32.3. One of the big differences is rushing offense. Georgia have 190.4 rushing yards per game, whereas Alabama only have 126. But Alabama do have a 50 yards per game more in terms of the passing offense. Total offensive yards though goes to Georgia again. There's only a 12 yards difference per game. Scoring defense, points allowed, very similar, 16.7 and 16.5. Rushing defense, Alabama do not have a good rushing defense, which again, going by the stats of of Georgia, that's going to benefit them. But again, on the flip side, Georgia's passing defense is not very good with 204 passing yards per game. Alabama have a +8 turnover margin, whereas Georgia have a -1. So this could be a game where turnovers are a big part of this game. In terms of total SEC championships of all time, Alabama leads with 30, Georgia has 14. And since the SEC championship game format began in 1992, Georgia has made a lot of appearances, but obviously Alabama has made more, hence why they have more championships. In terms of the 4 games, they've all been 3 of them have been 1-score games, with only the 2021 game where Alabama truly dicked on Georgia 41-24. All of the games have been, like I say, 1-score games, and have all had over 51 51 points as well. So we should see a pretty good game here. Me personally, I think in terms of the scoring, I think this game's for me is going to be, and very much like we see with a lot of championship games, it's intercept or turnovers is going to be the biggest part of this game. If Georgia can keep their turnovers down, then they stand a chance of being within this game. However, I think Alabama, in terms of their passing offense, is just that little bit stronger. And I think that's what's going to potentially do it. I think their defense is probably fairly similar. I think the difference being is that both defenses, their strengths are the other team's sorry, their weaknesses in defense are the team's offensive strength. So which could see a lot of points being put up. But I think it should be a fun game. Me personally, I'm just going to go with the team that I think have the pedigree in this game, and that's going to be Alabama.
Interesting. So, I mean, that's fair. And one of the things I like to say as well, though, you talk about the turnovers, you talk about all those different things, and I absolutely agree with you in every single sense. But also, one of the things that I like to say, and we've said a few times in this podcast, is I think the team that runs the ball better is also going to be the one that comes out over the top. And I just think Alabama have been the ones who struggled to run the ball this season, and they've really struggled to get it going on the ground. Georgia haven't exactly, at least to my knowledge, have not particularly been lighted up on the ground, but they've been better than Bama. And that's something that I think personally I'm looking forward to seeing is that battle on the ground and who can establish the run game better than the other. Alabama have got slightly better at it. And just overall as coaches, I prefer Kirby Smart over Kalen DeBoer.
I understand Kirby Smart, he's a dick.
I mean, he is a dick, but as a coach, I think he's a better coach, unfortunately.
He might be a better coach, but that doesn't make him any less of a dick.
This is true. This is true. But unfortunately, I'm not going on a personality rating. I'm going on a coaching rating, and also the fact that I backed Georgia earlier this season in the preview. So I'm going Georgia. I know Gary said so. Gary backed Bama at the start of the season. Shortly after Bama got battered by FSU. Gary doesn't believe in Bama anymore, does he?
Yeah, well, he does. He chose Alabama to win this game.
Shameful. Shameful. Nick, who are you taking this one?
Well, again, if I refer back to my previous stance on the Big 12, until yesterday, when the College Football Committee had the absolute disgraceful audacity to put Alabama one place above Notre Dame, how disgusting. Disgusting. Anyway, before that, I was Georgia all the way because I didn't want Alabama jumping Notre Dame by winning the SEC. So prior to yesterday, I was Georgia all the way just for that very reason. Now that Alabama have jumped Notre Dame anyway, it doesn't really matter because Notre Dame is still on the bubble and you just got to rely on Texas Tech. So I don't need to pick Georgia for Notre Dame purposes. What I am going to do is I'm going to pick Georgia anyway, just on the fact that I want to pick Georgia. because while I do think Kirby Smart looks like a dick, and probably talks like he does talk like
and is a dick, just a general. He's just a giant dick.
Even though that apparently is not timeout,
exactly.
That's clapping. Apparently, it's not timeout. Even though he is a dick, Georgia for me, because hopefully then the committee will drop Bama back down where they belong.
I just want to mention this real quick. We're not going to do the whole anything else. We're already over the time as it is. All 8 out of the 9 games as it stands, apart from the Conference USA Championship game, are on DAZN. Of course, the one game that isn't on DAZN is the Conference USA Championship game. Except, you know what we do have? We have the SWAC Championship game from the FCS, where it's Prairie View versus Jackson State. Shout out. Unless they've got it totally wrong and they've searched up Jacksonville State, but they've actually searched up Jackson
State with Jacksonville State.
And realistically, we are going to get Conference USA, just someone at DAZN's made an admin clerk error. I'd like, if we do get the SWAC Championship, shout out to the SWAC. We get some FCS. I love a bit of FCS football on DAZN. I think we should all be exposed to it. But yeah, we're not getting the all 8 of the other championship games will be available on DAZN for free this weekend. So please, please, please make sure you're tuning in, giving them a watch. They start at midnight, 1 a.m. on Friday night / Saturday morning and run all the way through to Sunday morning. I cannot wait even.
Also, just as a little update, because obviously we as a group support and follow the Campbell Fighting Camels. They finished 2-10 this year, with a 2-6 conference record. Not the worst team in the conference, though. That goes to
at least they won their 2 of their conference games. Their 2 wins were in conference, at least.
Yeah, the team that finished bottom was actually Hampton Pirates, who the Fighting Camels beat 38-21. They finished also 2-10, but obviously both of their wins were out of conference against Norfolk State Spartans and Elizabeth City State Vikings.
Oh, Elizabeth City State, the Elizabeth City State.
Yeah,
Whoa,
who according to this are just 0-1. they played no more games.
Listen,
that is the only, but they are a CIAA team, so that's probably why.
Once you lose to that team that you mentioned, those Pirates, like it's just
Hampton
your season's
Pirate.
over. The Hampton Pirates, you're done with. Like end off. No one cares anymore. Gents, I truly appreciate the fact that you stuck around. It's been a lot longer than I originally anticipated. Just conversation flows and all of that stuff. I apologize to everyone that we haven't had a true look at the college football rankings, but at the end of the day, they don't matter right now. What truly matters is we'll get to have a look at them properly next week on next week's episode, where we will be looking at signing day and we'll have a proper look at a review of signing day. We will look at the rankings and then we will may have a little bit of a look towards bowl season. I don't know, we'll check for time. But until then, don't forget to check the description of the episode for all the relevant links to follow us, follow the AAW network, get into our Discord server, and please, for the love of God, please leave us a good review if you had the opportunity to do so. Now we've wasted a load of your time. If you've stuck around for this long, you've got to like it. We will see you next week for next week's episode. And until then, we will have a lovely weekend of college football championship weekend.